Hello everyone, I'm Vivi and welcome back. There's this thing Rift Apart does where if you return to a planet or a certain area, you get extra new dialogue. The one we're focusing on today is Planet Savali. After teaming up with Kit, coming back to this exact area gives us the following dialogue from Ratchet. Have a listen.
Wow. I wish Talwyn was here to see this.
Ratchet wishes Talwyn were here to see this. For newcomers especially who just got introduced to the series with Rift Apart, this name might sound unfamiliar to you. Talwyn would be the girl we see in the credits. Quick little analysis of this scene makes us believe that Ratchet and Talwyn are taking a look at the dimensional map. So yes, Talwyn would be Ratchet's girlfriend. Last major appearances she made was in 2013's Into the Nexus and the comic issues between years 2010 and 2011. Fun fact, these issues were compiled into one later in 2011. Quite honestly, the games never explicitly mentioned nor confirmed that Talwyn and Ratchet were a thing. As in, an official couple. All we had was implication. We had the feeling that something was going on between these two. As for the comic itself, it's made even clearer, the way Ratchet feels leaving Talwyn in the Polaris Galaxy. Long story short, Ratchet had felt it was time to just lay low in the Solana Galaxy on planet Veldin, especially after the death of Alistair Azimuth, who was another Lombax actually residing in Ratchet's dimension. Okay, is there any actual confirmation from the team themselves, Insomniac Games? Well, we do have the Ratchet Clank 15th Anniversary art book from 2017. The page with Talwyn states that yes, she is Ratchet's girlfriend. Now with Rift Apart in the picture, a game released 4 years later, we wonder why Talwyn remained absent in the game's story, especially considering the fact that a festival was thrown for our duo. One would perhaps think that, hey, shouldn't Ratchet's girlfriend, out of all people, be present during this important, significant moment in his life? Sure, Ratchet & Clank laid low for years, according to the intro. No one really knows what happened between these two behind the scenes, but the fact he thought about her on Savali could at least indicate that he still thinks about her. If not for that hidden secret dialogue on Savali, we still have the credits. She's right there. Not to mention Clank fixing the Dimensionator out of all things. Clank wanting Ratchet to meet his race. Something Talwyn almost witnessed herself in Tools of Destruction. Whatever really happens between these two after the events of Rift Apart is totally up in the air, but the most realistic explanation for her absence in Rift Apart? Well, it's very likely that Insomniac Games simply wanted to focus on the whole theme of dimensionality, especially with Rivet, a new female Lombax, in the picture. Heck, Captain Quark, a character who's made significant appearances in our duo's life, felt like a simple cameo. He hosted the Festival of Heroes and simply, in the end, appeared alongside his dimensional counterpart, Captain Quantum. Rift Apart on current gen feels like an introductory game for newcomers. Easy to digest story, modernized controls with a fresh new coat of paint on. Exact words from Insomniac Games would be, this needs to be a standalone title that appeals to players who have never played a Ratchet & Clank game before. And with that, moving forward with the series, some might start wondering what Rift Apart means for Talwyn Apogee's future with Ratchet. Who really knows where the writing will take us, especially considering new writers we have at Insomniac Games. With that in mind, there is one note I want to make. I am not imagining Ratchet & Clank to turn into this space opera thing. Sure, Ratchet could decide to maintain his relationship with Talwyn, but what I'm leaning more towards is the potential Talwyn could bring to the overall story or plot moving forward. If Rift Apart's credits is anything to go by, Talwyn's aware of this object called the dimensional map. Whose whereabouts has she always questioned or wondered about? Her father's, Max Apogee. Okay, what does this have to do with the Dimensionator or the dimensional map? Well, going back to a crack in time, Galactic News theorized the possibility of Max Apogee, along with another female Lombax, traveling to another dimension using the Lombax secret, aka the Dimensionator, basically fleeing Percival Tachyon, who, long story short, wanted to get rid of the Lombaxes. Another instance of fleeing the dimension is in comic issue 5. We had Artemis Zog telling Talwyn how her father fled the dimension trying to save another Lombax from Tachyon. For those curious, Zog, who was once Minister of Defense of the Polaris Galaxy, lost his position of president to Captain Quark. It all eventually went to his head, used a project called Helios to steal planets and move them elsewhere in an attempt to create his own galaxy. In the end, his plan did not work. So back to the point. With Talwyn's sheer curiosity of her father's whereabouts, and with now a dimensional map in the picture, there is a lot of potential in bringing her back. Her trying to look for her father could give our duo a new set of challenges to face. Rift Apart dealt with the idea of dimensional counterparts. If we are to deal with the dimensional map in a future story, our gang could travel to wherever Max Apogee is. If that theory from A Crack in Time's radio is true, Max and Angela escaping the dimension, then our gang could discover or witness something they weren't expecting. Perhaps the Lombax dimension itself. Perhaps Apogee and Angela wound up there using the Dimensionator. An actual scene from Rift Apart which resonates with this thought is Ratchet himself wondering if the Lombaxes aren't what he's expecting. Does Ratchet at this point even want to see the Lombaxes? Pretty much yes. On Ardolis, he asked Clank if he would join him to find the Lombaxes when all of this is over. So imagining our gang traveling to the Lombax dimension, to perhaps also look for Max Apogee, this wouldn't be a situation where, oh no, the dimensions are falling, the dimensions are in danger. No. More like something along the lines of this dimension is not what we were expecting, and there's trouble afoot. That sort of feeling. Whether or not Rivet and Kit join the party, well, that's something I'll leave for the comments. Speaking of comments, feel free to share your thoughts in general, and as always, thank you so much for the support on here and on Patreon. You're all awesome. So until next time, I've been Vivi.